Today, I have a simple question for you. Is Walmart a good company or a bad company? Let's look at the facts. Like many retailers, Walmart maximizes its profits by paying very little in wages and benefits, only they take it to the next level. Paying barely above the minimum wage, but often below the poverty line, Walmart has been caught paying its employees in prepaid debit cards and even Walmart vouchers, providing benefits so low that it even encourages employees to sign up for food stamps and state-run insurance, and in a particularly low move, once ran a Thanksgiving food drive, asking its employees to donate canned goods for its own employees. But at least they got paid something, right? Well, not always. In the states of Missouri, Oregon, Colorado, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota, Walmart has faced class action lawsuits for forcing its employees to work off the clock, denying overtime pay, and working through lunch breaks. Speaking of lawsuits, Walmart has been sued for discriminatory treatment against women, predatory pricing, and poor working conditions as well. The company has been accused of breaking child labor laws in the United States, as well as being connected with sweatshops and prison labor overseas. In the most tragic case, 112 workers at a clothing factory in Bangladesh were killed in a fire where products were being made for Walmart. The fire extinguishers did not work, the exit doors were locked, and workers were told to continue sewing, even after the fire alarm went off. Walmart claims that it wasn't their fault, but they were aware of the factory and are responsible for squeezing its contractors to the point that they need to resort to subhuman conditions. This is not good. And really, the list could go on and on. A simple Google search will provide hundreds upon hundreds of anecdotes, studies, reports, and financial statements showing how a company worth $328 billion gets so rich by cutting corners and offloading its cost onto its employees, governments, and the environment. As the 2005 documentary aptly pointed out, there is a high cost of having low prices. Many see it as an evil institution and that the world would be better off without it. For those seeking to build a moral economy, one that alleviates poverty and promotes the common good, this seems obvious. And yet, proponents of the company tell a different story. They argue that despite all of the negative press against the company, Walmart is not a plague to society, it's actually its greatest force for alleviating poverty. If you care about human rights, they say, you should actually spend more money in the store. How can they say this? Well, despite its low wages, Walmart is the largest employer in the country by far, providing jobs to 1.5 million people domestically and another 700,000 worldwide, not to mention the millions of jobs it indirectly supports in manufacturing, textiles, and shipping. That is a big boost to the economy that infuses money into poor communities. In fact, the very existence of a Walmart in one's community is said to save the average person a few $1,000s a year no matter where they shop. Their prices are so low that it forces other companies to be competitive, making it easier for those in poverty to survive. Cheap food, cheap clothes, cheap everything means a higher standard of living for the poorest people living anywhere near a Walmart. And as far as those lawsuits go, sure, they've had to settle a few, but what major company hasn't? Being the biggest, they are naturally going to be the target of opportunists, and some of the suits I mentioned before were even settled in Walmart's favor. Walmart may be a company only concerned with its bottom line and willing to cut as many corners as possible to make a buck, in other words, led by greed, but that doesn't mean that others don't benefit. It may not be a perfect company, but proponents will argue that the world is better off with Walmart than without it. And so I ask you again, is Walmart a good company or a bad company? Turns out, it's not exactly a simple question, is it? The reason I bring this up actually has nothing to do with Walmart itself. I have no immediate stake in the company or its competitors. I use it as an example to talk about the complex process of engaging in moral dilemmas in the economy, situations in which we find ourselves stuck choosing between two less than ideal options. To support Walmart or Amazon or really any major company means financially rewarding a company with human rights violations and business practices that perpetuate gross wealth inequality. Since these companies are free to do with our money what they choose, it might also mean us indirectly supporting things that are against our values. Abortion, weapons production, pollution. On the other hand, to outright boycott these companies, to work to put them out of business, would remove millions of jobs, billions of dollars funneling through international communities with no other source of income, and force the most economically disadvantaged to pay more for essential goods. To take something away that is providing a good without replacing it has to be morally reprehensible as well. Hence, a dilemma, a choice between two unsatisfying options. At least that's what appears to be the case on the surface. The reality is that we have a third option. We need not choose between being complicit in evil and taking away jobs. We can be a voice of reform. On their own, companies will not have a conscience. Their goal is to maximize profits, and as long as they're doing so, they're not going to change. We cannot expect them to do the right thing on their own. But we can demand that they do so. We can make our voices known that certain moral imperatives do exist, that there is no low price worth dehumanizing another. As amoral as these companies are, we've seen countless times in the past that they do listen when their bank accounts are threatened. McDonald's may be the most obvious example of this with their You Asked, We Listened campaign, a result of the company realizing that good business means more than just low prices. In recent years, they've spent more providing antibiotic-free meat, healthier menus, and even less plastic. Look at a company like Nike. In the 1990s, it was the poster child of slave labor, something they vehemently denied. But people didn't back down, and eventually social pressure forced the company to change the way it does business, making it today a corporate sustainability leader. Agree with it or not, it was relentless pressure put on the Washington football team for decades, indignant at the fact that its team name was a racial slur that ultimately got it to change. Even Walmart has raised its employee wages in recent years and done at least minimal work to clean up its supply chains. It's not much, but it's also not nothing. As Christians, and more particularly as Catholics, we have an important role to play in building the society around us. Committed to the mission of Christ, being a people who uphold the human dignity of all and have a preferential option for the poor. How we spend our money matters. Who we do business with matters. Working conditions, labor rights, equitable pay, environmental sustainability. All of this matters. Just because a company benefits us doesn't mean that we should remain complicit to the evil it does, and just because it may cause evil doesn't mean that we burn it completely to the ground. We can advocate for justice. We can support the right to form unions. We can make it known that our moral conscience can't be won over by low prices, but that it matters how our companies provide for the common good. Call me cynical, but I don't think that many companies will come to these conclusions themselves. Few businesses are going to spend more money doing what is right when they can get away with doing what is wrong. And so let's make sure that they don't get away with it. Whether it's Walmart or Amazon or any major company, we have the opportunity, maybe even the responsibility, to ensure that a moral voice makes it into their board meetings. We may not have the ability to change everything we want, but what choice do we have than to try? When human beings are being mistreated, when justice isn't being served, our call to be prophets must be exercised. Get to know the companies that you use, refuse to be complicit in evil, and let the voice of God be heard.